handful of crazy artists living together in a dorm. Anything good about this? Here's my thoughts on Pet Girl of Sakurasou. Now I know there was rumors about me doing a reaction to Pet Girl of Sakurasou. They're not even rumors, I freaking said it. I've been talking about the show for a while. I've teased at it in a few older videos of mine, and I finally got to watching it. It's been in my backlog for freaking ever. And I'm happy I got to just watch it and spend some time with it without, the mics and camera and stuff in my face, because this anime, well, what is Pet Girl of Sakurasou all about? The Pet Girl of The Pet Girl of Sakurasou revolves around a group of students that live in this dorm that is kind of the mad scientists, the misfits, I don't know how to describe it, but basically Sakurasou is regarded as this dorm meant for like the crazy kids, like, these are kind of the social outcasts, so to speak, but they're at the same time mad geniuses. And this is a school that has to deal with arts. If you're a writer, painter, whatever, it has to do with arts and entertainment if kids are pursuing that field, which is awesome. And our main character, Sorata, gets in circumstances where he has to live in this hall because he really loves to adopt pet cats, Pet Girl Sakurasou, maybe that's to do with it. Okay, not really. That's the general gist, It's a hall full of mad artists that are just talented, and the hall itself is crazy. You'll figure that out within the first episode. Throughout the story, you'll get to know all these characters and what Pet Girl of Sakurasou really is, which the pet girl part of it, there's also a new girl in the hall named Mashiro, that's from England. You find out really early on, she's very talented as well. Manga? One thing at a time. First off, I really relate to this show when it comes to the subject matter, so to speak. Two movies I really love is Whiplash and La La Land. Those two movies have to deal with, if you're somebody pursuing a field in music or writing or being a game designer, graphics, whatever. Anything that's in painter, drawer, it doesn't matter. Photographer, video maker. It don't matter. Whatever you're doing, that's a very hard field to get into. At least that's my understanding of it. And those two movies in this show really deal with that idea that, not only, yes, pursuing the arts, which is why on this show really hit me on a personal level, because I'm like, oh, wow, this high school's so cool to, have a high school like that. I'm sure there's plenty of them, but I'm just like, damn, that's freaking awesome. But it's also really about finding your way too, to be able to accomplish what you want to accomplish and to figure out why, especially the MC, he deals with that in the first part of the show, really figuring out he has certain motivations that's like, okay, are you sure about that? Are you not? And then once he is sure, it's like he fights for it, but it's like, okay, how do you want to fight for it? I just was reminded, as I'm shooting this, another show that I remember is Your Lie in April. I really resonate in that show too, because it had to do with musicians, but this is a bit different of a circumstance. The first half of the show really handles its pacing pretty well to me. At first, I thought it was moving a little bit too fast, but thinking about it, I was just like, no, it's just moving along. It's doing a good job of doing that. The first half as well does a really good job of balancing its characters and, using a formula to experience everything through the main character that they do a good job, by the way. This show does a good job of making a main character that's relatable, interesting, and likable. Characters in particular that really make the show move and have really good contrast is Mashiro, Sorata, and Oyama. You can see that this is going to be a love triangle almost right off the bat, and it's not, these three characters aren't interesting because that love triangle, they're interesting because of how much they contrast each other. Mashiro is an incredibly gifted girl. She's incredibly gifted, incredibly talented, and such a mad genius that it's like, she tries incredibly hard, but she gets rewarded every time. And Oyama is the exact opposite of that, being a girl that really works freaking hard to her bones, one of the most hardworking characters I've seen, and yet she really struggles to get what she wants. And then Sorata is kind of like the balance of both. He tries to live in so many different worlds and trying to find his way. It's just these three characters in particular are really the standouts to me. Everyone else is interesting too. They're unique quirks or whatever, but they didn't stand out as much as those three, but I really enjoyed each of the characters in the show. I didn't really have a problem with any of them. I really thought I was gonna have a problem with the little sister. The comedy of the show is pretty funny. It's not meant to be comedic necessarily to me anyways. The comedy in the show is what I go for it too. I go to it for a lot of motivation and about, you know, what do I want to do? How do I want to do it? What kind of person do I want to be? How do I come across as people? It's a very self-triggering show in my opinion. And even though it kind of has a second half that's a bit questionable, we'll get to that. Its characters really save it for me. By the way, if you want to see some good animation and listen to some good music, this show has that for you. The animation in it right off the bat is very saturated and glowing. I don't know how to, if you see a few clips, you'll know what I mean, but it's very warm a lot of the times at the beginning, and does towards the end as well, but it's a very warm visually and sounding show. The first half of the show is really compelling to me, being, you know, like Oyama, the characters' goals and their situations and so on were really intriguing to me, and it handled the pacing really well, with like Oyama wanting to be a voice actress and Sarata figuring out what he wants to be, that I won't really get into here. But it's just, you know, it handles everything in the first half so well and balancing the characters out while also focusing on the main one more than enough to chain the other ones in. Now, I remember earlier when I mentioned something about the second half. Let's talk about that a little bit. You ever watch something and you feel like halfway or something like that, another director stepped in or something, or a different writer? I don't know. Well, that's what I feel like with this show. The second half handles and continues what each of the characters are doing for sure, but there's something about the way it's put together that just doesn't feel right. The payoffs towards the end are a little bit lackluster compared to the buildup they had in the first half, and it really focuses on the relationship between the characters, which isn't a bad thing, but it kind of detracts from what was so interesting to me about the first half. And you guys are so funny, like, I remember I did get a few people that had requests for episodes if I did react to this series. I looked at the list and they like picked the most heartfelt moments. And I'll tell you one thing, there's a scene in the rain in the second half. Of course, it's always in the rain. Why is it always in the rain? But yeah, that scene was freaking, yeah. And the graduation. I saw a lot of people wanted the graduation episode. That was pretty touching. The show's very heartfelt, it is, and it's very relatable, especially if you're, you know, a lost person or motivated to go for that, you know, goal that you got. The second half isn't bad, but just when you get off of the first half, I lost my motivation to continue watching it, honestly. Overall, the characters is what saved the show for me when it came to that second half, as well as I really did enjoy the first half and really enjoy the OPs and EDs for this show too. It's overall really nice. I really liked it, and yeah. Pet Girl of Sakurasou was a pretty good show. I'm gonna give it a solid B. If you've seen the show, what did you think about the second half and first half? Do you see what I mean about that? I'd love to hear, you know, what you guys think about the entirety, you know, and if you put spoilers, make sure you put spoilers and then a few space bars, and then we're good, because I'd love to, yeah. And a big shout out and thank you to my patron club here, the Super Saiyan Club, really. You guys make everything possible. Matt, Scarlett, Walt, Christy, Michael, Troy, Manuel, Dragon, just all you guys. I try to list everybody off the top of my head there, but I just truly mean it, every single one of you. Thank you so much, guys. And if you want to join them, click the card above or down below. And if you enjoyed this video and it's your first time here, subscribe to the channel. I have new videos every single Thursday, indulging us to be geek, be proud, and be awesome, to really, you know, own what we love. And mostly it's around games, animes, and movies, and things like reactions, highlight reels, and more. So consider subscribing to the channel or clicking the cards down below. Thanks for watching, guys. Catch you later.